everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into a career path that's been getting a lot of buzz lately. Financial fraud examiner. You guys sent in some really interesting stuff from RoleCatcher, and they always have great career resources. So let's explore this profession, what it takes, and see if it might be the right fit for you.
Yeah, it's a field that's got a lot to offer, that's for sure. Especially if you're someone who loves a good puzzle and wants to, actually make a difference.
Okay, so let's break that down a little. What does a financial fraud examiner actually do day to day?
Well, it's a lot more than just catching someone red-handed. Think bigger, more like investigating these really complex financial crimes. Like, imagine a company trying to trick investors by, say, inflating their revenue.
Yeah.
That's fraudulent, right? That's one kind of fraudulent financial statement a fraud examiner might have to untangle, but it goes way beyond that. You've got securities fraud, market manipulation, basically. If someone's trying to game the system for financial gain, a fraud examiner might be the one to find out. And it's not just about uncovering it. They analyze all the evidence, put together these really detailed forensic reports, which, by the way, are super important for any legal action. Plus, they often work directly with those regulatory bodies to make sure justice is served.
Those forensic reports sound pretty interesting. They must be super important for actually building a case.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the evidence, not just to say, look, this fraud happened, but to actually back it up, support legal action, and hopefully stop it from happening again.
So it's like you need this unique combination of, detective skills and financial know-how. But RoleCatcher also mentioned some of the tougher sides of this job.
Yeah, that's true. It's not always, super glamorous. The work can be really demanding, high pressure. It can be emotionally draining, too, especially dealing with all that sensitive information. Financial fraud, it really impacts people, individuals and organizations. It can be devastating.
It's easy to forget that sometimes, that there are real people behind all the numbers and spreadsheets.
Exactly. And the work itself requires incredible attention to detail. You can't miss a thing. Got to be meticulous, make sure every single piece of evidence is examined. And here's the thing, the fraud tactics, they're constantly changing, so you always have to be learning, keep up with the latest trends, or you'll get left behind.
Sounds like you really need to have a passion for it to thrive in that kind of environment. It's not a job where you can just, coast.
Yeah.
So, given all that, all the demands, what would you say are the most rewarding parts of this career path?
For me, it's that mix of, being intellectually stimulated, but also knowing you're making a difference. You're constantly using your brain, thinking critically, connecting the dots to unravel these, crazy schemes. But more than that, it's knowing your work matters, that you're actually protecting people, organizations from real harm. It's really motivating.
So there's a real sense of justice there, right? Righting wrongs, holding people accountable for their actions.
100%. Using your skills to bring some fairness, some justice to the financial world. Now, if someone's thinking about this career path, they're probably wondering what they need to study, what kind of skills are important.
Right, where do you even begin?
Well, you won't be surprised to hear that a good foundation in accounting, finance, or economics is usually a must. But, and this is interesting, we're seeing more and more people coming from totally different backgrounds, like computer science or even math degrees, which tells you just how important tech is becoming in this field.
It's so fascinating. It's definitely not your grandparents' accounting world anymore. It sounds like having a really sharp mind, being able to see those patterns in tons of data, that's becoming key.
Totally. Those skills are non-negotiable, especially now with, cybercrime and all these data breaches happening.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about the top jobs, leadership roles, a master's in forensic accounting, that could be a game changer.
So formal education, check. But you mentioned earlier, always be learning. What does that actually look like, on the ground for a fraud examiner?
So it never really stops. Conferences, those are big. Staying updated on all the latest research, reading those journals.
Yeah.
And certifications, those can be huge. Like the CFE Certified Fraud Examiner, that one carries a lot of weight.
So you got to be flexible, always ready to learn new things. Speaking of which, how does a career in this field, how does it actually play out? Where do you start? Where can you go?
Right. Well, typically you're not jumping right into the big cases, right? You start by assisting, more seasoned examiners, learn the ropes, take on more as you go. Early on, it's a lot of analyzing financials, doing interviews, supporting those investigations.
Okay, so you're like an apprentice, putting in the time, learning from the best. What's next? Where do things go from there?
Well, the more experience, the more expertise you get under your belt.
Yeah.
Right. So you start taking on bigger, more complex investigations. You might even end up leading a team at some point, mentoring those newer examiners, just like you were mentored. And you might find like a niche, something you really connect with, like cybercrime, or maybe it's financial statement fraud. And who knows, you could even become an expert witness in court.
Wow, that's pretty cool. It sounds like there's a lot of room to move up, find your own path.
Oh, definitely. It's a field that really rewards hard work and all that knowledge you're building up,
Yeah.
and the earning potential. That definitely grows right along with you.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what it's like right now, but what about the future? I mean, technology is changing so fast. How do you see that impacting financial fraud and this whole field down the line?
That's the million-dollar question. Tech, it's a double-edged sword, right? On one hand, it gives us these amazing tools to fight fraud. But on the other hand, well, the fraudsters, they've got those tools too, and they're not afraid to use them. So you've got cryptocurrency scams, phishing attacks using AI, even deep fakes to try to trick people.
Yeah.
It's getting harder and harder to tell what's real.
I can see why it would be so important to stay ahead of the game. So what do you think? What skills are going to be essential for those future financial fraud examiners, the ones who are going to tackle all that?
Adaptability is huge. You got to be comfortable with tech, obviously, really understand data analytics, cybersecurity, even AI, because you need to know how those things work, how they could be used to scam people. It's like fighting fire with fire.
So the financial fraud examiner of tomorrow, it's like a triple threat. Finance, technology, and those classic detective skills.
Exactly. It's a vital role. Someone's got to keep the financial world honest, make sure things are secure.
This has been a really eye-opening deep dive into the world of financial fraud examiners. We've gone from the basics to what the future might hold, and it's a career that's full of surprises.
Definitely challenging, for
Yeah.
sure. But man, the rewards, the chance to make a real difference, that's huge.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, if any of this resonated with you, if you're the kind of person who loves a good puzzle, wants to use their skills to fight for what's right, and isn't afraid of a little hard work, well, this might be the perfect career path for you. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Keep those brains engaged, and we'll see you next time.